Beloved, there are moments in life when everything you have been taught begins to feel incomplete. You followed the system, you did what was expected, you chased opportunities, you looked for stability, and yet something inside you kept whispering, there must be more than this. You worked hard, you searched for doors to open, you tried to secure your future with your own hands, but deep within your spirit, there has always been a question that refuses to go silent. Is this really what I was created for? Today, I want to confront that question with truth, with authority, and with revelation. Because what if I told you that your struggle is not because you are lacking effort, but because you have been operating with the wrong understanding? What if I told you that you were never designed to chase work, but to discover purpose? That you were never meant to depend on systems, but to rely on a source that is higher, greater, and unlimited? You see, the world has trained you to believe that your survival depends on what you can earn, what you can secure, and what you can control. It has taught you to chase jobs, to pursue paychecks, and to measure your worth by your income. But God operates by a different system, a system where purpose comes before provision, a system where alignment produces abundance, a system where obedience unlocks doors that effort alone cannot open. There is a reason why some of you feel restless even when you are working. There is a reason why success without purpose feels empty. There is a reason why you cannot fully settle into a life that is driven only by survival. It is because there is something greater inside of you. There is a calling that refuses to be ignored. There is a design that was placed within you before you were born, a design that cannot be fulfilled by simply looking for work. Beloved, this message is not for the average mindset. It is not for those who are comfortable living by the patterns of this world. This is for those who are ready to shift, ready to grow, and ready to step into a higher understanding of how God operates in their lives. Because what you are about to hear will challenge everything you thought you knew about work, provision, and purpose. It will stretch your thinking, awaken your spirit, and position you to live not by pressure, but by divine design. I need you to lean in with your full attention. Set aside every distraction, every preconceived idea, every limitation that has been placed on your thinking, because this is not just a message, it is a revelation that has the power to change the direction of your life. By the time we are done, you will no longer see work the same way. You will no longer chase opportunities the same way. You will begin to understand that your life is not meant to revolve around survival, but around purpose. So prepare your heart, open your mind, and get ready to receive a truth that will not only inspire you, but transform you. Because once you understand what God is saying about your life, you will never go back to thinking small, living limited, or chasing what was never meant to define you in the first place. Beloved, one of the greatest deceptions in this world is the belief that your life is defined by a job. Society has conditioned many to think that the ultimate goal is employment, a paycheck, and survival. But I want you to understand something powerful today. You were not created to look for work. You were created to fulfill purpose. Ephesians 2:10 declares, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand." This is not just a verse. It is a revelation of identity. It means your existence is intentional, your design is divine, and your assignment was established before you were even born. You are not a product of chance. You are a product of purpose. God did not create you to wander through life searching for opportunities just to survive. He created you with something already inside of you, something valuable, something needed, something designed to solve problems and bring impact. The tragedy is that many people spend their lives chasing jobs instead of discovering their purpose. They wake up every day working to meet needs, but never asking why they were created. They are busy, but not fulfilled. They are employed, but not aligned. Purpose is the original intent of your creation. Before there was ever a need for a job, there was purpose. In the beginning, God gave humanity dominion, responsibility, and assignment, not employment applications. Work was never meant to be a burden. It was meant to be an expression of purpose. Employment came later as a system, but purpose was always the foundation. When you reverse this order and make employment your focus instead of purpose, you limit your potential and reduce your life to survival rather than impact. Beloved, you must shift your mindset. Stop asking, "Where can I work?" and start asking, "Why was I created?" Because until you discover why you exist, you will never fully understand what you are supposed to do. Your purpose is not outside of you, it is within you. It is hidden in your gifts, your passions, your ideas, and the problems you feel called to solve. These are not random. They are indicators of your assignment. When you understand purpose, you begin to see work differently. You no longer chase opportunities, you create them. You no longer depend on systems, you influence them. You no longer look for jobs, you become the solution that jobs are built around. Why? Because purpose produces value, and value attracts opportunity. The world does not reward people who are merely available, it rewards those who are valuable. And your value is rooted in your purpose. This is why many people struggle, not because there are no opportunities, but because they have not discovered what they carry. They are looking outward for provision when God has already placed potential within them. You cannot fulfill purpose by copying someone else's path. You cannot discover your assignment by imitating another person's life. You must go back to the Creator because the manufacturer is the only one who understands the product. God knows why He created you. He knows what He placed within you, and He knows how it is meant to function. Beloved, your purpose is not just about you, it is about service. It is about solving problems, meeting needs, and impacting lives. The reason your purpose brings provision is because it addresses something that others require. When you operate in purpose, you become a solution. And wherever there is a solution, there is demand. Wherever there is demand, there is provision. This is why you do not need to chase money. When you fulfill purpose, provision follows naturally. Understand this clearly. Jobs can limit you, but purpose expands you. A job can define your schedule, your income, and your environment. But purpose has no limits. It grows, it evolves, and it creates opportunities beyond what you can imagine. When you operate in purpose, you are not confined by titles or positions. You are driven by vision, fueled by passion, and guided by divine direction. There is also a level of fulfillment that comes only from purpose. You can have a job and still feel empty. You can earn money and still feel unfulfilled. But when you walk in purpose, there is a sense of satisfaction that goes beyond material gain. You know you are doing what you were created to do. You know your life has meaning. You know your existence is making a difference. This is what separates those who merely work from those who truly live. But let me be clear, discovering purpose requires intentionality. It requires time, reflection, and connection with God. You must be willing to step away from distractions, to silence the noise of society, and to seek divine guidance. Purpose is not found in comparison, it is found in revelation. It is revealed to those who seek, who ask, and who are willing to listen. Beloved, stop reducing your life to employment. Stop measuring your worth by a paycheck. Stop believing that your existence is limited to working for someone else's vision. You were created for something greater. You were designed to carry purpose, to create value, and to make an impact that goes beyond yourself. This does not mean you will never have a job, but it means your job should never define you. Your identity is not in what you do for money, it is in what you were created to accomplish. When you understand this, you approach life differently. You work with intention, you serve with excellence. And you position yourself not just to earn, but to influence and to impact. The truth is this, beloved, you are God's workmanship. You are designed with precision, created with intention, and assigned with purpose. Your life is not random. Your gifts are not accidental. Your calling is not optional. It is your responsibility to discover it, develop it, and deploy it. So rise above the mindset of mere employment. Seek purpose with passion. Pursue your calling with conviction. And trust that when you align your life with what God has already prepared for you, everything you need, every opportunity, every resource, every connection will begin to align with you. Because you were never created to chase work. You were created to fulfill purpose. Beloved, one of the greatest shifts you must make if you are to walk in true purpose and divine provision is this: you must stop chasing a paycheck and start pursuing the kingdom. Matthew 6:33 declares with authority, "But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you." This is not a suggestion, it is a divine principle. It is a law of priority that governs how provision flows into your life. When you reverse this order, when you place money, survival, and material needs above God's kingdom, you create frustration, anxiety, and limitation. But when you align your priorities correctly, provision becomes a byproduct, not a pursuit. The kingdom represents God's rule, His system, His way of doing things. It is not merely a religious concept, it is a governing reality. When you seek the kingdom, you are aligning your thoughts, your actions, and your life with God's will. You are asking, what does God want me to do? How does He want me to live? What is His assignment for my life? This focus changes everything. It removes pressure and replaces it with purpose. It eliminates anxiety and establishes trust. Many people live under constant stress because they are trying to secure their future through their own efforts. They chase jobs, opportunities, and income streams, believing that their survival depends entirely on what they can achieve. But this mindset limits God. It places the responsibility on human ability instead of divine provision. When you seek the kingdom first, you acknowledge that God is your source, not your job. You understand that your provision does not come from your employer. It comes through your employer. This distinction is critical. When your source is God, your confidence is unshakable. When your source is a job, your peace is fragile. Seeking the kingdom first also requires trust. It demands that you believe God's word above your circumstances. There will be moments when it seems illogical, when the world tells you to prioritize money, stability, and security above all else. But faith calls you to a higher standard. It calls you to trust that when you align with God's purpose, He will take care of your needs. This is not irresponsibility, it is divine order. It is understanding that God knows what you need before you ask, and He has already made provision for it. Beloved, when you pursue the kingdom, your perspective changes. You begin to see opportunities not just as ways to earn money, but as platforms to fulfill purpose. You start to evaluate decisions not based on financial gain alone, but on alignment with God's will. This protects you from distractions, from opportunities that look good but are not right, and from paths that lead away from your assignment. The kingdom mindset brings clarity, direction, and focus. There is also a supernatural element to kingdom pursuit. When you prioritize God, He intervenes in your life in ways that go beyond human effort. Doors open that you did not knock on. Opportunities arise that you did not chase. Favor begins to surround you, positioning you in places where your purpose can be expressed. This is not luck, it is alignment. It is the result of putting God first and trusting Him to handle the rest. But let me be clear, seeking the kingdom is not passive. It requires action, it requires obedience, it requires discipline. You must study the Word, develop your relationship with God, and consistently align your decisions with His principles. You cannot claim to seek the kingdom while living contrary to its values. Alignment produces results. Obedience unlocks provision. Beloved, the world teaches you to chase money, but the kingdom teaches you to chase purpose. The world tells you to secure your future through effort, but God calls you to secure it through alignment. When you get this right, everything else begins to fall into place. Your needs are met, your path becomes clear, and your life operates under divine order rather than human struggle. This is the truth. You do not have to spend your life running after provision. When you seek the kingdom first, provision runs after you. When you prioritize God's will, everything you need is added. This is not theory, it is principle. It is a law that cannot fail. So shift your focus, elevate your priorities, and watch how God transforms your life when you put Him first. Beloved, there is a powerful truth that many overlook, yet it holds the key to unlocking opportunity, influence, and provision in your life. Proverbs 8:16 declares, "A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men." This means that what God has placed inside of you is the very thing that will create space for you in this world. You do not need to force your way into positions, beg for opportunities, or chase validation. Your gift, when discovered, developed, and deployed, will naturally position you where you are meant to be. Every individual has been given something unique, a talent, a skill, an ability, an idea, something that sets them apart. This gift is not random, it is intentional. It is directly connected to your purpose. It is the tool through which you express your calling and create value in the world. The problem is not that people lack gifts. The problem is that many fail to recognize, develop, or use what they have been given. They spend their time chasing external opportunities while neglecting the internal potential that holds the key to their success. Your gift is your advantage. It is what makes you valuable. It is what distinguishes you from others. When you operate in your gift, you are no longer competing, you are contributing. You are no longer trying to fit into someone else's role. You are fulfilling your own. This is where confidence comes from. It is not based on comparison, but on clarity. When you know what you carry, you walk differently. You speak differently. You operate with authority because you understand your value, but a gift undeveloped is a gift unused. It is not enough to recognize that you have potential. You must invest in it. You must refine it, sharpen it, and grow it. Excellence attracts attention. Skill creates demand. When you commit to developing your gift, you increase your capacity to influence and to impact. This is why discipline, learning, and consistency are essential. Your gift opens doors, but your preparation determines how long you stay in the room. Beloved, your gift is also your avenue for provision. It is through your ability to solve problems, to create value, and to serve others that resources flow into your life. Money does not chase people, it follows value, and value is produced through the effective use of your gift. When you focus on becoming excellent at what you do, when you commit to serving others with your ability, provision becomes a natural result. There is also a level of divine positioning that comes with your gift. It brings you before people you could not reach on your own. It connects you with opportunities that align with your purpose. It creates access that effort alone cannot produce. This is why you must stop chasing doors and start focusing on what you carry. When your gift is active, doors will open. When your gift is refined, opportunities will increase. When your gift is aligned with purpose, impact becomes inevitable. However, your gift must be used with the right mindset. It is not just for personal gain, it is for service. It is meant to benefit others, to solve problems, and to bring value to the world. When you shift your focus from how can I make money to how can I serve with what I have, everything changes. Your approach becomes purposeful, your actions become intentional, and your results become meaningful. Beloved, do not underestimate what is inside of you. Do not ignore your abilities. Do not compare your gift to someone else's. What God has given you is enough. It is powerful, it is valuable, and it is capable of creating opportunities beyond what you can imagine. But you must use it. You must develop it. You must step out in faith and allow it to operate. This is the truth. You do not need to chase opportunities when your gift is active. Your gift will make room for you. It will create space where there was none. It will bring recognition where there was obscurity. It will position you before people and in places that align with your purpose. So focus on what you carry. Invest in your development. Serve with excellence. And trust that as you operate in your gift, God will open doors that no man can shut. Because you were never meant to struggle for position. You were designed to be positioned through purpose and empowered through your gift. Beloved, one of the most liberating truths you will ever come to understand is this: God is your source, not your job. Philippians 4:19 declares with absolute authority, "And my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus." This is not a motivational statement. It is a divine guarantee. It is a revelation that shifts your entire perspective on provision, security, and purpose. You see, many people have been conditioned to believe that their job is their source. They wake up every day thinking that their paycheck determines their survival, that their employer controls their future, and that their security is tied to a system. But this mindset is dangerous because it limits God and places your trust in something that is temporary. Jobs can change. Economies can shift. Opportunities can disappear. But God remains constant. He is unchanging, unlimited, and unfailing. When you understand that God is your source, you are no longer controlled by fear. You are no longer anxious about losing a job, missing an opportunity, or facing uncertainty. Why? Because your confidence is not in a system. It is in a sovereign God who owns everything and controls all things. Your job becomes a channel, not the source. It is simply one of the ways through which God provides, but it is not the origin of your provision. This distinction is critical, beloved. When you confuse the channel with the source, you become dependent on the wrong thing. You begin to fear losing the channel because you believe it is your only means of survival. But when you recognize God as your source, you understand that if one channel closes, he can open another. If one opportunity ends, he can create a new one. Your provision is not limited to a single path because your source is unlimited. Beloved, God's resources are not restricted by human systems. He does not depend on economies, companies, or positions to bless you. He operates from a higher realm, a realm where provision is not scarce, where opportunities are not limited, and where possibilities are endless. When you align your life with Him, you tap into that realm. You begin to experience provision that goes beyond logic, beyond expectation, and beyond human understanding. But this requires a shift in trust. Many say they believe in God, but their actions reveal that they trust their job more than they trust Him. They rely on their salary for security, their position for identity, and their employer for stability. But true faith means placing your trust fully in God as your provider. It means recognizing that everything you have comes from Him, and everything you need will be supplied by Him. This does not mean you stop working. It means you change your perspective on work. You no longer work out of fear, you work out of purpose. You no longer depend on your effort alone. You depend on God's provision working through your effort. You understand that your job is not your lifeline, it is your assignment for a season. And when that season changes, God will guide you to the next. Beloved, when God is your source, your peace becomes unshakable. You are not moved by economic downturns. You are not shaken by uncertainty. You are not overwhelmed by challenges. Why? Because your confidence is rooted in something greater than what you see. It is anchored in the truth that God is faithful, that He is able, and that He will supply all your needs. There is also a level of freedom that comes with this understanding. When your job is your source, you feel trapped. You tolerate environments that drain you, compromise values to maintain stability, and live in constant fear of losing what you have. But when God is your source, you are free. You make decisions based on purpose, not pressure. You walk away from what is not aligned, knowing that your provision is not tied to that situation. You live with confidence, knowing that God is in control. Beloved, this truth also positions you for abundance. When you rely on a job as your source, your provision is limited to what that job can offer. But when you rely on God, your provision is connected to His riches in glory. That means there is no limit, there is no restriction, there is no ceiling. God can bless you in ways that go beyond your salary, beyond your expectations, and beyond your imagination. But you must align your life with Him. You must trust Him completely. You must recognize that He is not just a part of your life. He is the foundation of it. When you do this, you step into a dimension of provision that is not controlled by circumstances, but by divine authority. Understand this, beloved. Your job is not your provider. It is a tool. It is a channel. It is a temporary assignment. But God is your source. He is your provider. He is your sustainer. He is the one who ensures that your needs are met, your path is guided, and your future is secure. So stop placing your trust in what is temporary. Stop depending on systems that can change. Lift your eyes to the one who never fails, who never runs out, and who never loses control. When you shift your focus from your job to God, everything changes. Your mindset changes. Your confidence changes. Your approach to life changes. This is the truth, beloved. As long as you see your job as your source, you will live in limitation. But when you recognize God as your source, you step into a life of freedom, peace, and unlimited provision. Because the one who created you is more than able to sustain you, provide for you, and position you for a future that reflects His power and His glory. Beloved, there is a powerful distinction that many fail to understand, and it is this: there is a difference between working with purpose and working under pressure. Colossians 3:23 declares, "Whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men." This is not just instruction, it is a revelation that redefines your entire approach to work. It shifts your motivation, transforms your mindset, and elevates your performance from obligation to calling. You see, when you work under pressure, your actions are driven by fear. Fear of failure, fear of lack, fear of losing opportunities, fear of what people will think. Pressure forces you to perform out of anxiety, to push yourself beyond healthy limits, and to chase results without clarity. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and disconnects you from purpose. You may be busy, but you are not effective. You may be active, but you are not aligned. But when you work with purpose, everything changes. Purpose removes pressure because it gives direction. It gives meaning to your actions and clarity to your decisions. You are no longer working just to survive. You are working to fulfill an assignment. Your motivation shifts from external expectations to internal conviction. You are not driven by what people demand. You are guided by what God has called you to do. Beloved, when you understand that your work is unto the Lord, excellence becomes your standard. You are no longer performing for approval, recognition, or reward. You are working as an act of worship, as an expression of your calling, and as a reflection of God's character in you. This mindset transforms even the simplest tasks into meaningful actions. It removes the frustration of monotony and replaces it with a sense of purpose. Working with purpose also brings focus. Pressure scatters your attention, pulling you in multiple directions, causing you to chase everything and accomplish little. But purpose simplifies your life. It helps you identify what truly matters and eliminates what does not. You begin to prioritize effectively, invest your energy wisely, and operate with intentionality. This is where productivity meets fulfillment. There is also a level of peace that comes when you work with purpose. Pressure creates stress, anxiety, and exhaustion. It makes you feel like you are constantly running but never arriving. But purpose brings calmness. It gives you confidence that you are on the right path, even when progress seems slow. It allows you to trust the process, knowing that every step is contributing to something greater. Beloved, many people are trapped in cycles of pressure because they have not discovered purpose. They are working hard, but they are not moving forward. They are striving, but they are not fulfilled. They are busy, but they are not effective. This is not because they lack ability. It is because they lack alignment. When your work is disconnected from your purpose, it becomes a burden. But when it is aligned, it becomes a blessing. Understand this clearly. Purpose does not eliminate effort, it gives it direction. You will still work hard, but your work will be meaningful. You will still face challenges, but they will have context. You will still experience seasons of intensity, but they will not overwhelm you because you know why you are doing what you are doing. Beloved, working with purpose also positions you for excellence. When you are aligned with your calling, you naturally invest more into your work. You develop your skills, refine your abilities, and strive for improvement. This is not driven by pressure, but by passion. You want to be better because you understand the value of what you carry. And excellence attracts opportunity. It creates demand. It positions you for influence and impact. But let me be clear, working with purpose requires discipline. It requires consistency. It requires a commitment to align your actions with your calling every single day. You cannot operate in purpose occasionally. You must live in it daily. This is where transformation occurs. This is where progress is made. This is where destiny is fulfilled. Beloved, release the pressure. Let go of the anxiety. Stop striving in your own strength. Shift your focus from survival to purpose. Work as unto the Lord, not as unto men. And watch how your life transforms when your actions are driven not by fear, but by divine assignment. Beloved, one of the greatest misconceptions in this generation is the belief that hustle alone produces success. People are taught to grind, to push, to strive endlessly, believing that their effort is the ultimate key to provision. But Isaiah 19:19 reveals a deeper truth. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Notice, it does not say if you hustle harder or strive more. It says if you are willing and obedient. This is the principle that governs divine provision. Effort is important, but effort without alignment leads to frustration. You can work hard in the wrong direction and still remain unfulfilled. You can hustle endlessly and still lack peace. But when obedience is present, your effort becomes effective. Your actions are aligned with God's will, and your path is guided by divine direction. This is where true provision begins to flow. Beloved, obedience is not always easy. It requires trust. It requires surrender. It requires the willingness to follow God's direction even when it does not make sense. There will be times when obedience leads you away from what is comfortable, away from what is familiar, and away from what seems logical. But understand this, God's instructions are always connected to His provision. He does not lead you without sustaining you. He does not guide you without providing for you. The problem is that many people prioritize hustle over obedience. They rely on their own understanding, their own strategies, and their own efforts while neglecting God's guidance. They move quickly, but not correctly. They achieve results, but not fulfillment. They gain temporarily, but lose alignment. This is why hustle alone is not enough. Without obedience, it becomes empty effort. Beloved, when you are willing and obedient, you position yourself for divine favor. Opportunities come that you did not create. Doors open that you did not knock on. Connections are formed that you did not plan. This is not luck, it is alignment. It is the result of following God's direction and trusting His plan. There is also a level of ease that comes with obedience. This does not mean there will be no challenges, but it means your path will be guided. You will not be wandering aimlessly, trying to figure everything out on your own. You will have direction. You will have clarity. You will have confidence that you are moving in the right direction. Beloved, obedience also protects you. It keeps you from pursuing opportunities that look good but are not right. It prevents you from making decisions that lead to regret. It aligns you with God's timing, ensuring that you are in the right place at the right time. This protection is invaluable. It saves you from unnecessary struggles and positions you for sustainable success. Understand this clearly. God is not against your effort, but He is against misaligned effort. He does not want you to strive aimlessly. He wants you to move purposefully. When you combine obedience with effort, you create a powerful force. Your work becomes effective, your progress becomes consistent, and your results become meaningful. Beloved, willingness is the starting point. You must be open, ready, and committed to follow God's direction. Obedience is the action. It is the daily decision to align your life with His will, to follow His instructions, and to trust His guidance. When these two come together, provision follows naturally. This is the truth. Hustle may produce temporary results, but obedience produces lasting impact. Hustle may bring income, but obedience brings fulfillment. Hustle may create opportunities, but obedience aligns you with purpose. So shift your focus. Do not rely on effort alone. Seek God's direction. Follow His guidance. Align your actions with His will. And watch how provision begins to flow into your life, not as a result of endless striving, but as a result of divine alignment. Because when you are willing and obedient, you will indeed eat the good of the land. Beloved, as we come to the end of this message, I want you to pause and truly reflect on what has been revealed to you today. This is not just information, it is transformation. It is a shift in thinking, a realignment of priorities, and a call to rise above the limitations that have kept you bound to survival instead of purpose. You have been taught to chase work, to depend on systems, and to measure your life by what you earn. But today, you have been reminded of a higher truth. You were not created to look for work. You were created to fulfill purpose. Everything we have discussed points to one undeniable reality. God is your source, not your job, not your connections. God alone is the one who sustains you, provides for you, and positions you for the future He has already prepared. When you truly understand this, fear begins to lose its power. Anxiety begins to fade. The pressure to constantly strive and struggle is replaced with peace, confidence, and clarity. You no longer live as someone trying to survive. You begin to live as someone assigned to fulfill a divine purpose. Beloved, your life is not accidental. Your gifts are not random. Your desires, your ideas, your abilities, they are all connected to something greater than you. They are evidence of purpose. And when you begin to align your life with that purpose, everything starts to change. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. You stop depending on effort alone and start walking in divine alignment. You stop living under pressure and start operating with purpose. But hear this clearly, this truth demands a response. It is not enough to be inspired, you must be transformed. It is not enough to agree, you must act. You must make a decision that from this day forward, you will no longer define your life by a job, but by your calling. You will no longer depend on what you can control, but on the God who controls all things. You will no longer chase provision, but pursue purpose, knowing that provision follows alignment. There will be moments when your faith is tested. There will be times when the old mindset tries to pull you back into fear, into doubt, into the need to control everything. But you must stand firm in what you now know. You must remind yourself daily that your source is not limited, your provider is not restricted, your future is not uncertain. God has already made provision for your life. He has already prepared good works for you to walk in. He has already placed within you everything you need to fulfill your assignment. Beloved, do not shrink back. Do not settle. Do not return to a life of limitation after receiving a revelation of purpose. Rise up with boldness. Walk with confidence. Live with intentionality. Let your decisions reflect your faith. Let your actions align with your calling. And let your life become a testimony of what happens when someone chooses to trust God completely. As you move forward, remember this: your work is not just about earning, it is about expressing purpose. Your effort is not just about survival, it is about impact. Your life is not just about you, it is about fulfilling the assignment that God has placed within you. When you live this way, everything changes. Your mindset changes. Your direction changes. Your results change. And most importantly, your life begins to reflect the fullness of what God intended from the very beginning. So step into it, beloved. Step into your purpose, step into your calling, step into a life that is not driven by fear, but by faith. A life that is not controlled by pressure, but guided by purpose. A life that is not limited by systems, but sustained by God. And before I close, I want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen, to learn, and to open your heart to this message. Thank you for being willing to challenge your thinking, to grow beyond your limitations, and to seek a deeper understanding of your purpose. Your willingness to engage with truth is the first step toward transformation, and that alone is something powerful. I pray that what you have received today does not remain as words, but becomes a reality in your life. I pray that your faith is strengthened, your vision is expanded, and your path is made clear. I pray that you walk in confidence, knowing that God is with you, guiding you, providing for you, and positioning you for everything He has prepared. Thank you once again for your time, your attention, and your commitment to growth. Stay focused, stay aligned, stay faithful, and never forget you were not created to chase work, you were created to fulfill purpose. May God's grace, favor, and provision go with you as you step boldly into the life He has designed for you.